Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So, I like Sonic Unleashed. It's a good game. But the thing is, over the past couple of years, I have seen this amount of people exploding, saying how Unleashed is the greatest Sonic game ever. It's one of the best video games ever made. You've got to play Sonic Unleashed, guys. It's amazing. So when I did finally play it for myself a couple of years ago, I obviously had very high expectations. And then I played it, and I thought, yeah, that's good. But I don't know, like, the whole experience just didn't register for me as this amazing thing like it did for so many other people. And I thought I'd make a video on that, because I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've just never gotten around to it. Because here's the thing, like I just said, I do like Sonic Unleashed. I really do. I just don't get the hype for it. So today, I'm going to talk about that. First, I'm going to talk about what I do like about the game. Something I can easily praise to no end are the visuals. Oh my gosh, this game looks incredible. This is probably the second best looking Sonic game, debatably the first. Personally, I think Generations, specifically Sonic Generations, not Shadow, is still the best looking Sonic game and my favorite art style. I think it looks a tad better than this game. I think the only reason people say this one it looks better is because the game is just, you know, longer and has way more stuff in it. It has a fully fleshed out hub world. It's a lot harder to say that about the game where it's just the levels and then a blank white void. But this game really does look amazing. Even to this day, 18 years later, this game's visuals still hold up pretty well. Yeah, some of the textures are a bit flat, but the colors and lighting are just so vibrant and the game looks beautiful. There's a reason it took the power of the Xbox Series to run it properly. Because, yeah, just no complaints on the visuals. And in terms of the cutscene animation, yeah, those look really good too. It took 16 years for them to get surpassed, with Shadow Generations, which was so much later, and on just two steps up in terms of consoles. So yeah, but really good looking cutscenes, really good looking visuals, not much to say. I mean, aside from, yeah, the regular cutscenes look pretty good, but the CGI cutscenes just look movie quality. They are amazing. Yeah, the ones in 06 also looked amazing. But, like, the ones here just have this certain flair to them. Obviously, there's the opening cutscene, which everyone talks about, because it's the greatest Sonic cutscene of... Yeah, it is the greatest Sonic cutscene of all time. No doubt about that. Oh, the ending with the big dark eye reveal, that looked amazing, too. Just all around, this is a really visually stunning game. I don't know how else I can say that. Another thing about this game I can praise to no end is the music. This game has some great music. You know, just like nearly every single Sonic game, even counting spin-offs. Yeah, it's by no means my favorite Sonic OST like it is for a lot of other people. I think part of that is just its lack of vocal songs. It's got the one amazing opening main intro and then the credit song, which hardly anyone ever talks about. I like that song, Dear My Friend, it's a good song, but it's just so overshadowed by Endless Possibilities. It's just kind of easy to forget about that song. And speaking of Endless Possibilities, yes, I love that song. I wouldn't call it my favorite Sonic song ever, like some other people would, but again, still a really catchy song. Imagine my surprise when I found out the guys who sang it did the Phineas and Ferb intro. That was a fun surprise. The level OSTs as a whole are really great. Yeah, they aren't quite my favorites, mostly because they're a lot more orchestral and less rock. Personally, I prefer a mix of the two, which is what Generations did, or even, I don't know, 06, Adventure 2, but still, really great music. Rooftop Run, Empire, what's it called, man? The Empire City stage, Skyscraper Scamper, that's it. Jungle Joyride, all really good level themes. The Werehog themes aren't nearly as catchy as the boost stages, but they're still pretty good. Time to talk about something I can't stand. If you ask me what the worst part of Sonic Unleashed is, by far, I would say Tornado Defense. This minigame is genuinely atrocious. I don't think I've ever used that word before on this channel. Not because it's a bad word or anything, it's just like, I don't think I've ever described how much I hate something before. Yeah, you only play it twice, but it is just so awful. It goes on forever, and if you make one mistake, oh, boom, you're probably going to lose. You're going to have to start the whole thing all over again. It is just not fun. It's like Sky Chase from Sonic Adventure, but even worse. I don't know how you make a worse version of Sky Chase, but they somehow managed to do it. Yeah, I am grateful you only play it twice, but boy, I'm glad that Sonic games seem to be abandoning these kinds of extra missions. Sure, you have the lame ones in Frontiers where you have to do side loops around bees or whatever, but at least those are short. This is just agonizing to play. My gosh. It really feels like it's just here to pad out the game, which this game has a lot of padding. Speaking of padding, time to talk about the Werehog, the main selling point of this game that takes up 75% of its runtime. I don't hate the Werehog. I think these days most people have come around on him because, yeah, I understand that his stages aren't nearly as fun as the boost levels, but there's still some merit to the Werehog. It is a well-designed system, the combat animations are pretty cool, and you know, it's a fun thing to just bash around some enemies for a while. But the thing is, these levels are just so long. I know there are people who say, no, they aren't actually long, they're only 10 minutes. I can't imagine beating any of these levels in 10 minutes unless you're a master at this game. Some of these took me over an hour on the first try. Even ones that I replayed that I've actually managed to beat on a replay because, there is no way I'm replaying Spagonia Night, just no way. But, even the ones that I did replay fully, they still took me something like 25 minutes to beat. And considering how repetitive these levels can be, that's just not something I want to sit through again. No amount of cool animations and visuals can make me enjoy these super long levels or very long. Like I keep saying, they can be fun. I think some of the Werehog's boss fights are pretty cool, and I don't hate the concept. I'm not gonna be one of those stupid game journalists from 2008 who, ugh, why does Sonic turn into a werewolf? Even though they're totally fine with Luigi becoming a ghost or whatever, but that's neither here nor there. I don't hate the Werehog. I think he's a fine gimmick. His levels are just too long, and that's my biggest problem with this game, like I said about Tornado Defense. This game has so much padding. It is the longest Sonic game. Maybe Frontiers or 06 are a bit longer, I'm not sure. And that is because it just has so much stuff that could easily be cut out. You do not need these levels to be so long. You do not need Tornado Defense to even exist. And if you made these things shorter, this game would still be way over 10 hours on a first playthrough. It'd probably be over 20 hours. I mean, for me, it probably took over 30 hours my first try, but, you know. I'm not that good at video games, and this game is hard. Speaking of hard, did anyone else get annoyed by some of those weird challenges in the Werehog stages, like that part in the Chunon level where you have to, hold down on those poles and then go swinging? It took me probably 20 minutes to figure out how those things work. Even now, I'm still not sure how they work. When I try to replay the level, I just can't finish it because trying to figure out how those stupid poles work just takes forever. Not fun. Time to talk about the boost stages. There are people who would say the boost levels in this game are the best levels in the entire series. I disagree. Some of them are, yes. Windmill Isle is a fantastic opener that's just a blast to play through. Always loved it. It's one of the only levels in the game I've managed to S-rank. Rooftop Run is just phenomenal, maybe the best level in Sonic history. And so is its Generations counterpart, honestly. I love Rooftop Run. Music, set pieces, visuals, everything. It's just so much fun to play. It feels kind of like the ultimate Sonic level, the way the music goes, as you just zoom through this massive city. It just has that great summer energy to it. I love it. Skyscraper Scamper is pretty solid. Yeah, it's like the quick step part on the building can be pretty annoying. There are some other weird sections too, but it's still a really well-designed, fun level. Even though story-wise it's totally irrelevant, but whatever. Thing is though about the other boost levels, and there aren't that many, I don't really like them that much. Dragon Road is good, but those platforming sections are just terrible. Because this game, my biggest problem with the boost stage is that Sonic is so slippery in this game. There are multiple points where I just don't even attempt to boost or run, I just try to walk. And even then, he's so fast. Clearly, they needed to iron some things out with this boost system, which they did in Generations, because good as these levels are, Sonic's controls definitely left a lot to be desired. Beyond the boost feeling beyond Sonic just feeling too slippery, the quick step can also just be a bit overshot sometimes, which is never really that fun because it always ends up being really annoying. Because the following games, like Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations, Frontiers, like the quick step is perfect. But here it's too slippery. I get the feeling they really wanted to make you feel fast, but it just ended up not working out too well, because even in the hub world, Sonic is way too slippery. I don't get what's with that. Oh, I forgot to mention Cool Edge. That's a great stage. No really real problems with that one, but Arid Sands and Jungle Joyride are bad. I understand if you might like them for the sheer challenge they provide, and I get it. They do certainly look cool, but if you were just trying to play this game to have fun, you're not trying to master it or whatever, you get some enjoyment out of the difficulty, it's not fun just dying over and over and over again to all these stupid obstacles that just fly in your face. Even if you've played the level multiple times, they will still hit you and you just won't be able to do anything about it. Why? Because Sonic is just too slippery. I would not have nearly as much of a problem with these levels if the game weren't just so fast. I don't get what was going on with that, but it annoys me. Still, I like the boost stages, like I said. Some of them are great. Even the awful ones, well, 2 out of 5 is awful ones. 2 awful ones compared to 5 good ones isn't so bad. Oh, I guess there's also the Missouri level. That one's pretty good. I like that one. It's cool. Now, here's probably the least liked part of the game, the medal collecting. I already spoke about how this game feels so padded with how long the Werehog sections are in the Tornado Defense, but I don't think... Well, I do still hate Tornado Defense more. I don't think they are as bad as the medal collecting. Thing is, I went into this game knowing you had to collect a ton of medals, so I scoured every single level. I replayed some, I scoured the hub worlds to find as many medals as I could. And I actually had a lot of them. But then I got the Jungle Joyride Day and it said, uh-oh, you need 20 more medals. And I was just thinking, are you kidding me? Like, I already found so many, why is the requirement just so high? And this game is pretty hard. This is the hardest Sonic game by far. So after you go through all these really long levels, you have to walk through all the hub worlds, which sometimes just like, oh, you must go to... You can't just do the level once you're in the hub world. You must go to Professor Pickle. Then he tells you to do the level. Then you walk back to the level. And then, after going through all of that, these hard stages, all the other padding, it says, uh-oh, collect 20 more medals, idiot. It's ridiculous. And I know there are a lot of people who played this game on their first go-around. They didn't know they were going to have to collect so many medals, so they get stuck so quickly because you have to collect so many of them. Sure, there are a lot, but you get to a point where, as you collected all the easy ones, now you have to go to some ridiculous places to find them. And you don't get any kind of cool reward for collecting a bunch of medals. No, it just lets you progress through the game. It's not like you have to collect the red star rings to progress through Sonic Generations. And honestly, that'd probably be better, because that game is so short. Having to collect some extra stuff would probably make it longer in a way that it's actually fun. Especially since the red star rings do give you real rewards, but just whatever. Point is, medals are terrible, no one likes them. People love Eggman Land. I always hear people saying how they love having this big ultimate challenge, the gauntlet to test your mettle and how much you've learned in this game. And don't get me wrong, I think that's a cool idea. Having this huge level where you switch between Boost Sonic and Werehog Sonic, that's really cool. But like I said, this game is hard and it is long. It took me over an hour to beat Eggman Land. And the thing is, if you take longer than an hour in this game, it just doesn't tell you how long you took to beat the level. So I don't know how long it took me. It probably took me 90 minutes. And like I said, I knew a decent bit about this game going into it. I saw a whole playthrough of Eggman Land. I knew how it was super long. I knew some of the traps. I grinded for 99 lives, which, by the way, it takes a long time because in this game, because I guess they know you'll collect so many rings that you just get a million lives really quickly, so that you have to go through this one part in the Spagonia hub world over and over again to get extra lives until you finally get to 99, if you want to do that. That's a good strategy, and it's boring. So yes, because I had 99 lives, I was able to make it through the level without a game over, but the level still wasn't fun, because the game was already so hard. Having it just be even harder when you have, like, the Werehog sections aren't the worst. Okay, the platforming sections are pretty bad, but the daytime parts just aren't fun because, like I said, Sonic is so slippery. Then you have to make all these insane last-second reactions to everything. You just end up dying so many times in ways that don't feel like my fault. And the level is so long. Like, it could be half as long, and I think people would still really like it. I just don't understand why they made it this way. Like, you telling me they rushed Sonic 06 so badly, yet they were willing to make this game as long as humanly possible? I don't get it. I do want to give a brief section to the Egg Dragoon boss fight, because I really like the Egg Dragoon boss fight. It's just really fun. Like, it's probably the Werehog's best fight. Okay, part of that's because it's the easiest and simplest, but it is just fun to play. It has a proper amount of spectacle, it still requires some thought. The best QuickTime event in the game, it's a good, well-designed boss fight. And honestly, I probably like it a bit more than the Generations version, which I never thought I'd say. Like, in general, this game's boss fights are pretty good. They're nothing amazing, but I still like all of them a decent bit. Okay, that one with the hammer, like the dark Gaia monster with the hammer or whatever, was not good, but still the rest of the boss fights, pretty solid. While I did praise the normal fights in this game, the final boss is just awful. Like I kept saying, I've said a million times in this video, this game is way too long, and this final boss is like the definition of too long. You have to do these sections where you play as the Gaia Colossus with Chip, where you have to slowly approach Dark Gaia from so far away, and then you have to slowly hit him a couple times, and make sure you don't get hit by the rocks, because if you get hit by enough of them, you're going to fail and you're going to have to start this section all over again. Then you have to play the sections of Sonic, which can be fun, but the time limit on them isn't too bad, but the time limit on the last Sonic section is so short that it took me so many tries to beat it. I may have had 99 lives to be ready for Eggman Land, but by the time I got to this, like, I almost got a game over just because of how many times I had to do that one Sonic segment in the final boss. And then once you finally become Super Sonic with that really cool cutscene, and you finally you don't get to fight Dark Gaia, no. You have to slowly hit the snake things popping out of his shield while Chip actually fights Dark Gaia. Sure, the music is amazing, but what is exciting about this? And I died to it so many times. You have to sit through the whole thing of Chip breaking through the shield with Sonic saying, "Wow, that's amazing!" I had to watch that so many times. Like, it just makes this game feel so long. I've seen the Wii version of Unleashed. Obviously, it's not as good as a game. It's not as good a game as the main version, but its final boss is way better than the HD version. I would say that with complete honesty, because you actually get to fight Dark Gaia and it doesn't drag on forever. Still, the final boss is a pretty cool spectacle, at least. Like I said, the music and visuals are amazing. This is the only time where I'd say that a giant monster showing up out of nowhere as the final boss actually happens, but it is pretty funny to see Dark Gaia just randomly swat Eggman away, and you get that final end credit scene with him where the prototype Orbot just roasts him. That was fun. Now, time to talk about the story, which I've put off until the end. This game has a good story. It's fun. It's certainly not the best Sonic story ever, but I do understand why it's a lot simpler than previous ones. I do count Secret Rings as a mainline game, so that was the game before it then. But that game still had a pretty serious story that had a decent amount of cutscenes. And then, of course, 06 was this massive movie-esque story that was pretty flawed, but it still had some good moments, and I could definitely appreciate how big it was attempting to be. But because after going through so many big, larger-than-life stories, and people not liking them, I understand why they decided to dial this one back, and I think they did a good job with it. The quality of the cutscene animation certainly helps the story feel better than it is, and it is pretty solidly written. Because there aren't too many big action sequences, but it's fun to just watch Sonic and Chip hang around and get into some nice little jokes and stuff like that. Professor Pickle's a fairly entertaining character. Tails is just kind of here, but that's not too big a deal, at least not in this game anyway. Amy's role is pretty small, but I actually appreciate it a decent bit. The one time she sees a hedgehog that is Sonic, she thinks it's not him. And Sonic is pretty bummed out. Because, his biggest fan, as it were, doesn't recognize him. He is kind of afraid of being in this werehog form. Sure, that never really goes anywhere, but, I appreciate it. Of course, the scene with Sonic and Chip toward the end is just great. One of the best scenes in the whole series. Really touching, really well done. Eggman is entertaining as ever. Yes, he's made into a bit of a joke here, but he has enough serious moments to where I don't mind it that much. Like, I love when the Egg Dragoon fight where he just sounds so upset, saying, "Oh, come on, just die already, you stupid hedgehog!" Now, also I mentioned his his post-credit scene, mid-credit scene, cutscene at the end. That was really fun. I like how this era of the games decided to make post-credit Eggman scenes. Everyone remembers the one in Generations. I didn't know Colors even had one until I recently played the game for the first time. I kind of wish they'd keep these. Like, I wish Forces had one or Lost World. That would be fun. Thing is, though, I can't talk about the story without talking about the voice acting. Something us Sonic fans can never agree on. Let's start off with what is not a hot take. Mike Pollock is a great Eggman in this game. Probably his best performance in any of the games, and he's usually a really good Eggman in pretty much everything. Well, almost everything. I like Dan Green usually plays Knuckles, and he plays Professor Pickle, and I just think it's pretty funny. I can see how people would think Chip's voice is kind of annoying, but I got used to it pretty fast, and he was an endearing character. Lisa Ortiz is a good Amy, nothing to complain about. I've never really been a fan of Amy Palance Tails, but, she's fine here. Jason Griffith Sonic, though. I'm probably the one guy you will ever see who's not from the 2000s. I mean, as in, talking about the games from that decade. Whatever. I'm getting so lost. Okay, what I mean to say is that back in the 2000s, people hated Jason Griffith. But the second Roger Craig Smith replaced him, people went up in arms about how amazing he was and how much they hate Roger Craig Smith. If you just hear him talk about the story, he said, "The day I was announced I was voicing Sonic, I checked my email and I was flooded with people saying, 'Ugh, Roger, we hate you. You're too old to voice Sonic. How dare you destroy Jason Griffith's career?'" He got actual emails like that. And the thing is, well, I don't hate Jason Griffith or anything, man. I just never really liked his Sonic. I liked it in Black Knight, but other than that, even in this game, which people give a lot of credit to his performance here, I just never really liked it that much. I have a lot of nostalgia for Jason Griffith Sonic since I used to watch Sonic X a lot. I just don't like his performance here. I like his werehog voice, but his regular Sonic voice just sounds way too stilted. He delivers almost every line in the exact same tone of voice. "Gee, that sure is a cool, fun adventure. Let's go save the world. Huh, same as ever, all bark and no bite." That line just for me never really quite matched the animation. Now, I know someone might say, well, Roger Craig Smith delivers all his lines in almost the exact same tone. Yeah, but I think Roger's voice is better suited to Sonic, and he's also a better voice actor, because he's had way more experience than Jason has. So, I don't think that's quite a fair comparison. Ryan Drummond also delivered a lot of his lines in the similar cadence, but I think the voice just fits so well it didn't matter as much. But here, nah, sorry, I just don't like it. It always, it's something, I can say it like this. There's a reason people always make fun of the line, "That tornado's carrying a car" from '06, because I don't think it's because the line itself is funny, it's because it's delivered in such a weird way. And so many of Jason Griffith's Sonic lines just sound like that to me. Sorry, Jason. You were a good Jet the Hawk, though, I'll give you that. Great Jet the Hawk, actually. So, those are my thoughts on Sonic Unleashed. as you can see, and I hope you didn't immediately start getting mad at me, I do like Sonic Unleashed. I gave it praise in many aspects. But I still have a lot of criticism of it. Sure, some of them are down to more of a personal preference, stuff like the Werehog levels being too long or Jason Griffith's performance or whatever, but I do think some of these issues are just objectively bad. The tornado defense, the metal collecting, some of the weird pacing issues. So I'm wondering, why do people put this game in such a high regard? Well, for starters, I think we have to talk about why this game was hated when it came out. Like, recently, someone did a reaction to the IGN review from 2008, which is just hilarious. Where that review sounded less like the guy genuinely didn't like the game, and more like he was just criticizing it because in 2008 it was in to criticize Sonic endlessly. And I think because the game was genuinely good and had a lot of good ideas and execution, it's led to people who felt like they were shamed for liking it in 2008. Now that it's so acceptable to like this game, people are putting it on this ultimate pedestal, like it's the greatest Sonic game ever, which I just don't understand. People kind of say the same thing about 06, actually, which is a much more flawed game. Like, I see these people who say, yeah, Sonic 06 has really bad loading times and animation and has some weird writing hiccups and also controls really terribly, but it's still my favorite Sonic game and it's still the best one. Sorry, like, you can like 06 all you want. I like parts of it, but I feel like calling it the greatest game ever, but then also saying that it's really bad just doesn't make sense. But I think the reason people like Unleashed so much is more than just it's acceptable to like it now. It's that this is the highest budget Sonic game. Not only literally, but it also feels that way. The level of animation, the visuals, the music, everything, this just feels like such a next-gen AAA experience. It's the only Sonic game aside from, I guess, Adventure 2 and 3 and Knuckles to feel that way, but those games are from such a different time when AAA wasn't even really a term for video games, so those just don't really count to me. But this game, to this day, still looks really nice, plays pretty well, and since it took until the Xbox Series S and X for it to play properly, people just really treat it like it is the ultimate Sonic experience. I get why they would think that, I just seriously disagree. Though here's the hoping that whatever Frontiers 2 is, that actually is the ultimate Sonic game, because Shadow Generations was almost there. Visually, like, controls-wise, story-wise, it was there. It just wasn't long enough to quite hit that for me. But I guess with ending this video on a positive note, for all the criticisms I had, I still think this is a solid game, and I do think that Sonic Team did correctly build off of it. They saw that, hey, people like the boost, so we'll bring that back and they still use the boost to this day. And, well, they kind of abandoned it for a while. They are back to the high-budget cinematics, and I appreciate that. Sure, so comment down below what you thought. That's all for now, and remember to stay way past cool.